I have not recorded or posted a video in an extremely long time, pretty much like a year. And for somebody who considers themselves like a mover and a shaker, that's just damn unacceptable. It just is. And how many of you like me, I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but the point is we all say to ourselves, next year, new year, new me. How many of you have had New Year's resolutions, like New Year's resolutions, for like a decade? How long are you really going to wait to start what you claim you want to start? At some point, you really don't mean that. You're saying it so that it can sound cool to somebody else, so that you can try to gain outside acceptance to help yourself have confidence, because you can't fuel your own confidence. Like Cat Williams jokingly said it in a stand-up one time. It's self-confidence. It's confidence of your goddamn self. You can't use other people's acceptance to give you self-confidence. You know what I mean? So are we trying to gain the acceptance of others by trying to sound like a shaker and a mover? Or are we really moving towards some goals? I don't know about you guys, but I'm just tired of being fake. If you know me in real life, you know I'm a straight shooter, tell it like it is, willing to hurt feelings as long as you know where I really stand. You know I'm like that. So when you hear me say I'm tired of being fake, if you know me, you're probably like, what are you talking about? You're not fake. But I think on some level we all are. I think a lot of us are scared, petrified of what it would be like to fail at some shit. And we're so scared that we really don't put our best foot forward. We cower. Like, have you ever ducked a conversation with somebody that you knew you needed to have? Have you ever gone the other way when you saw somebody in public? Like, I've done all of those things. I'm not saying as you, like, oh, the guy doing the video thinks he's preaching to us when really it's him. It's me too. I've been like that. But it's time to attack things head on, and it's time to really go get what you want. So, like, simply plain and put, when is enough enough? When do you really sit down, get in your own face, and go, what are you doing? You're not doing any of what you said you wanted to do. And when somebody else brings it up to you, you're bothered. When is enough enough? How much more credit card debt do you need? How many more raises at your job, or promotions at your job do you need to get passed over for before you realize you're not trying your hardest? How many more grades do you need to fail? How many more classes do you need to fail? At what point, like I had this happen to me when I was in school. I'm getting ready to graduate in May. I can't tell you how excited I am like to finally be about to graduate. But that happened to me at first. See, like, I've never tested well in school. I didn't do well in school. I did okay, actually. My GPA when I graduated is probably like 2.8. Okay, almost a B average. And the truth is, I could have done way better than that. But I had zero confidence in high school. I just didn't. I didn't have no confidence. You know what I mean? And part of it was because I just never did well, which it would make sense to anybody. I avoid it, or you don't want to try it. It's natural human thinking and psychology. A lot more of you adults should study psychology, because you can't teach your kids shit you don't know. And the problem is, as people, we won't humble ourselves and admit, I don't really know, do I? Learn psychology, because psychology will tell you when somebody's not good at something, they don't want to do it. Which is why it seems like our black children don't want to do school. They're failing. They're doing really bad. Well, if that's the case, why would I do it? And I think for a long time, that was how I felt about going back to school. I graduated high school, and when I walked across the stage, I could not believe I graduated. That's the truth. I went to community college, did I? I went to Coppin for a semester, did I? Food was good though. The food in the cafeteria smacked, I ain't gonna lie to you. That was like 2006. And then I got married 2 years later, had no business married, had a child that I absolutely adore, so I honestly don't regret it. But the point is, I got sidetracked, right? And it was all because at the end of the day, I didn't really want to sit and look myself in the mirror and say, what is your problem? Why are you running from trying to do better? What you're trying to do needs school. So it took me until like I went to Coppin in 06. And then I went to Sheffield Institute Music School, failed out of it in 06. It took me until 2022 to really say to myself, why won't you go back to school? See, there's a school, by the way, Full Sail University. Shout out to my school, right? Full Sail University is wildly respected in the audio industry and in the video game sound industry and in the sports broadcasting industry. And because of how like highfalutin and like prestigious I pictured the school to be, I was like, man, it's probably like $50K to get in that goddamn school. I'm not going to get in that. You know what I'm saying? Have financial aid out the wazoo, which I currently do. But the point is, I'm not even going to try to look at it. I don't want to embarrass myself with the thought of, wow, that's too much money and I can't get into school. I didn't want to embarrass myself. And that's another thing. We struggle from like, we don't want to be embarrassed, which again is just feeling shame at the hands of what other people think of you. That's all embarrassment is. If you're more worried about being embarrassed than just maybe looking bad for a little bit until you get it right, then you're again saying you care more about what other people think than your own success. That's really what you're saying. I'd rather them approve of me than to me be the best me possible. So I'm just going to avoid it altogether. I was living in my apartment in the city, beautiful apartment, loft style, down on Greenmount. If you're from Baltimore, you know what I'm talking about, right? And literally, I was like, let me just go on the Full Sail website. Let me just see. Let me just see how much it costs. And it shocked me. It was relatively cheap. And the funny thing is, at that point, I had already been doing studio sound, my own music, live sound at church, live sound at events. I was already in the audio industry. So it wasn't even like it was foreign knowledge or a foreign concept of like, shit, they're going to have to treat me like I don't know nothing. Now, one of the strengths of my school is that they do teach you from the ground up as if like you basically don't know anything. And there are plenty of things I've had to learn. Don't get me wrong. But there were plenty of things I already knew. And that was what I learned once I finally manned up and decided to check the website and see what it costs. Like, when is enough enough? At some point, and one of the blessings of living alone like I did for the 2 years I did, my schedule with my daughter changed because I live in the city. I lived a little further. One of the blessings was having a lot of alone time to just sit and think. You can think what you want of Dr. Umar Johnson, but he says some great things. And he's probably not the only person to say this, but the way he said it connected with me. He said, when you get alone, all of those subconscious thoughts creep up to the front of your brain and kind of start talking to you. You know you need to get that divorce finalized, right? You can't move on until you get that finalized. You know you need to go back to school, right? You know she don't know you cheating, right? You know she don't know you don't really have a car, right? All those kinds of things start creeping up in your mind. And that's the reason people don't want to be alone. You'd rather be miserable dating somebody than to be alone because you don't want your brain to talk to you on the fact that in some ways you want some shit. That's the truth. And my brain started talking to me. Jamal, you're 36. You're 37. What are you going to do? You're creeping up to 40. What are you going to do? And that's when I enrolled in Full Sail. And it's funny because most people go to 4-year colleges to get a bachelor's in whatever they study, right? A bachelor's of science. Full Sail, the strength of it is kind of basically a trade school. So my program was like 2.5 years. So imagine me looking at the website, it's November of 2022, and I'm like, oh my God, my graduation is May of 2025. God grief, that's forever away. And here we are, March 2nd of 2025. And I graduated in about 2 months. I can't tell you how elated I am. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, my school, obviously I go online. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. My school's in Winter Park, Florida. So I've already discussed with my family like plans to really go down and like walk across the stage because it's virtual. You can do virtual graduation or like in person because they know everybody can't afford to come down, yada, yada, blase, blase. And it's just crazy because here I am 2 months from graduation And I toughed it out. I really toughed it out. And I'm proud of myself because I really sat alone and said, Jamal, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You like where you work right now. You work with children in the school system, which ironically, I should have thought about sooner. I always like teenage movies. I always like teenage high school movies, teenage high school shows. I always had an interest in high school. I never thought about working at a high school. Like sometimes our gifts and talents that we naturally have, we don't think are special. So we just kind of do what we do. It's like, no, that actually, you should be doing that. And that was one of the things I realized, which is why, again, I work at a high school right now, right? I've taught basketball. I was the assistant coach for JV, the boys JV this year at Willan High School. We went 13-4. Me and the new head coach, we did a damn good job. 13-4 in 17 games is a really good first season. Obviously, we had some talent. But the point is, I really had to ask myself, what are you going to do? And that's when I re-enrolled. And it's funny because I was watching a video online about why it seems like stupid people, or I ain't gonna say stupid people, but like people who aren't as intellectual as others seem to succeed. And it's because they're not thinking about it. They're just doing it. Remember Jackass, the show Jackass? They did all kind of dumb stuff. And it was amazing, honestly. It was entertaining. It looked painful at times. Sometimes it was like, that's just stupid. That's not even funny. But the point is, millionaires, whatever repercussions happen to them physically, they'll deal with the ailments the rest of their life, and they'll just, that's the consequences of their actions, and they'll accept it. But look, they just did it. And being an intellectual, we sitting around overthinking everything every day in perpetuity. What do you think you're doing? You're treadmilling. You're literally not doing anything. When is enough enough? Why do we hate to sit and be honest? Why do we hate to really get in our own face and go, you got to do better, right? What is it? What are you so afraid of? There's a book that I need to honestly read called Failing Forward. I don't need to read it to understand the concept. I need to read it to get all of the gems. But failing forward, there's a reason why when you fail at something, you have to ask yourself, what in the world did I do to not win? And if you get the lesson, add it to your repertoire. You go at it again. Damn, I didn't win again. Learn the next lesson, go at it again. At some point, you tweak, you refine, and boom, you got a great product. But so many people are weak-minded. The moment they fail one time, oh, this just must not have been meant to be. Like, life is not based on meant to be's. It's just not. Especially love. Love is not about meant to be's. I just saw a long post on Facebook yesterday about a couple, Caucasian couple. They've been dating since they were 16. They got 2 kids. They've been together like 20 years at this point. And they just talked about all of the learning and the bumps and the bruises and the sacrifices and the infatuated stages and the boring stages and the learning each other stages and the fact that they grow and they grow different. You grow apart. So then when you grow apart, you got to learn how to rekindle the flame. Like, people don't want to work hard. That's what it really comes down to. Some people just don't want to work hard. Love ain't about meant to be's. If you want to make love last, it's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. Other options are going to look better at times. And then you'll honestly realize, not really. Like, all of that. It's the same way with your passions. It's the same way with your journey. And it's the same way with school. Because the truth is, 2-3 months in, I'm like, I'm in school. All right, I'm doing good. After a while, I was like, crap. I'm bored. I'm disinterested. And I failed quite a few classes. And the way it works, you just retake them like a month and a half later. And I did it. And here I am. And it's just, I shouldn't have waited a year to drop this video. I should not have waited a year to drop this video. I should not have waited a year to drop this video. But at this point, it's full speed ahead. It really is. Because at the end of the day, somebody out here has to be somebody who kicks culture off and says, hey, we need to do better. Maybe you never will, but I'm willing to say we need to do better. Peace.